let's lift it up. See your face, your will we're wanting. Say yes, Lord.
As glory invades us, we change forever. We say yes, Lord, yes. As glory invades us, we change forever. We say yes, Lord, yes. We'll wait on you. We will wait. Come and move. We say yes. With the raising of our hands, God, we are ready for you, God. Come and move. We say yes to you. Oh, come and move. We say yes.
Now with hands raised and mouths open, can you offer God another yes? And we believe as you say yes that he's going to start responding with a yes tonight. He's going to respond with an amen tonight. He's going to respond with a it is so tonight. Beyond what we can think, beyond what we can ask, he's able to do. He's able to go beyond. He's able to go before. Come on, let's lift it up, church. Y'all know it. This is what we say. Exceedingly, abundantly, above all that we ask or think. Lift it up, church. Sing it out. Exceedingly, abundantly. He's gonna do. He will do. Exceedingly, abundantly. Yes, Lord. Above all that we ask God.
Exceedingly, abundantly, above all that we ask or think. God, do exceedingly, abundantly, above all that we ask or think. Exceedingly, abundantly, you're bigger, you do more, you're expansive, you're so big, abundantly, yeah.
So we say yes. Let's come and move. We will always say yes to your will, to your way. Come, God, we say yes. Come on, church, lift your voice. Come and move. We say yes to yes. Now, would you lift up a yes in the room? Come on. We expect a move from you. With no resistance, Father, you are welcome. We say yes, Lord. Yeah. Our songs are rising in your direction. We say yes, Lord. We will wait on you. We will wait on you. Come and move. We say yes to 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 you. Church, let's lift it up. See your face, our
this event, even though it's here at Second Baptist, and we're honored to do so as Pastor Alfonso Jackson Sr., the senior pastor here for the past 20 years. You're going to see a lot of sponsors on the list that Brother Bullard is going to share with you, but I just want to give a shout out to the South Dade pastors. That everything that we do together as one, and so I always like to acknowledge them because when you see one of us, you see all of us. I'd like to open up with a word of prayer. It ain't on the agenda, but I'm going to put it in there anyway. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for this privilege of coming together on this occasion to hear what these elected officials, aspiring officials, have to say and to share with us. God, I pray for a spirit of discernment tonight as we will listen to them as they share not only their heads, but what's in their hearts. Let us, oh God, be like the tribe of Issachar that would understand the times and understand exactly who should give leadership in this season. God, we commit this service even to you. In your name we pray. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. Amen. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Jackson. Thank you for welcoming us into the space. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Senator Dwight Bullard. I get to serve as a co-moderator along with Reverend Alfonso Jackson Sr. Today for this auspicious occasion. I serve as the political director for an organization called the New Florida Majority, as well as the president of the South Dade NAACP, NAACP being the oldest, boldest, and coldest civil rights organization in the country. We encourage everyone, I repeat, everyone to become a member of the NAACP. All are welcome. All colors, creeds, fraternal organizations, and sororities are welcome to be members of the NAACP. Tonight's event is sponsored by a number of phenomenal organizations, but as a member of one of those organizations myself, I did want to give some background for those who may not know about the importance of Black fraternal organizations. These are organizations that are founded, many in the area of Jim Crow, as institutions created during the most dire circumstances for Black people in this country, understanding that what we needed at that time was support, was unity, and was a coming together moment in which to uplift the things that we deemed most important. Black fraternal organizations, Black sororities have been at the forefront of, small historical moments like the women's suffrage movement, the American Civil Rights movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, and movements not only in this country but around the globe. First one starting in 1906 and the last one joining us in 1963, all critical years in which all of these organizations were founded nationally. So I will run down the list of those chapters that are sponsoring tonight's event, starting first with the Iota Pi Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. If the members of that organization would like to stand, or as I call the organization's names, please feel free to stand. So again, Iota Pi Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Thank you for being here. The Pi Delta Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Thank you so much. The Richmond Prime Alumni chapter of the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, my chapter. Thank you so much for being here. Pi Nu chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. All right. If we played a little George Clinton, I'm sure they will show up. We know how that goes. Miami Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. All right. Never just one in any building at any given time of members of Delta. You gotta love that. The Theta Rho Sigma chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Definitely want to give a special moment of silence in the honor and memory of their brother, Congressman John Lewis, who was buried today. So definitely want to honor them for being here. Thank you so much. Mu Gamma Zeta chapter of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here. The Eta Kappa Sigma chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. thank you for being here as well. As I mentioned before, the New Florida Majority is happy to sponsor this occasion as well, and of course the Southdade NAACP, which I mentioned previously. So we're going to go ahead and get underway. We have some tremendous folks who've decided to run for the top job in the county, the CEO of an $8 billion budget, the person who will be in charge of the maintenance of this county for the next 4 years. And so we want to take this moment to recognize those folks. I'm going to run down the name. Everyone will have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves. Remember, we will be asking questions throughout, so there's no need to go into platforms, policy positions, but we just want to know a little bit about you, who you are, and what brings you here. And you'll have 2 minutes apiece to do that, starting first with Ms. Monique Barley.
Hello, everyone. My name is Monique Barley. I'm 36 years old, born and raised in Miami-Dade County, graduate from Miami Northwestern Senior High School, a student at Miami-Dade Community College, a consumer law representative supervisor at Pollock & Rosen Law Firm. Thank you.
Next, we have Commissioner Steve Bovo will share with us who he is.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm the father of 5, product of our public school education, went to Southwest High School during a time that they used to call split shifts, so I would go in the afternoon, which really worked well for me. And then after that, went to Sunset High, and this is the way we used to deal with overcrowding back then, if many of you might remember split shifts. I've been serving my community now since 1998, 10 years on the city council in the city of Hialeah, where I rose to the rank of president of that city council. I had the honor of serving with the senator in Tallahassee 3 years, or 2.5 years in the Florida legislature, and then came to the county commission during a political upheaval in our community where there was a recall of a mayor and a sitting commissioner, and I replaced that commissioner. I've had the honor of serving now 9 years on the board of county commission. 2 of those years I was honored to serve as the chair of the board of county commission. I'm pleasure to be here tonight and looking forward to engaged conversation about our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Commissioner Daniela Levine-Cava.
Well, since my colleague mentioned his family, I think very appropriate to say I'm Daniela Levine-Cava. I'm the proud mother of 2 and wife and 2 grandchildren, finally. I used to have to borrow them from my constituents. I was very jealous of all those grandchildren, but I got my 2 now. Of course, I haven't seen them since February, unfortunately. I'd like to also start with a moment of reflection, memory, reverence for the great Congressman John Lewis. Today he was buried, and we heard a beautiful eulogy from our former president, Barack Obama, reminding us that Americans can do great things. Ordinary people can do great, great things that change history. I was proud to have had an opportunity to have met Congressman Lewis when I was working in Atlanta as a baby lawyer, and very moved to this day. And I want to also say thank you. We're in a great holy house. Thank you to our Reverend Dr. Alfonso Jackson and Second Baptist for hosting us today. And thank you to New Florida Majority and all of these great fraternities and sororities and the great history that you bring, fighting for excellence, bringing excellence to our communities across the country, in fact, across the world, united in your shared value, promoting excellence. So I want to say a little bit about me. I have a lifetime dedicated to uplifting families and communities, making sure that children have opportunities to succeed, that people have opportunities to get good jobs and to build wealth. In short, the American dream. That has been my purpose in my public sector life, which is actually my whole career, and 40 years in Miami-Dade fighting for these things. And housing is still the best way to build wealth, and we know that we don't have those opportunities as we should. And as your mayor, I'll be doubling down on making sure these opportunities are available. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Carver. Next, we'll have Brother Carlos de Armanas.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a nice evening. Thank you to the Reverend, to Dwight, all the organizations that make this possible. I came to Miami in 2005, transferred by city. And actually, I served at that city bank that you have right there. So probably some of you were helped by me to buy the house, or for some also to open the account, or with life insurance or something like that back in 2005 and 2006 when I came to Miami-Dade. Yes, I'm Carlos de Armas. This is a dream of transparency, a dream of inclusion, a dream of fair government for everybody to have a better life. I decided to do this over a year ago. I'm tired. I'm a regular person just like any of you who decided to do something. I was tired of waiting for the things to improve, and they are not improving, not going the right way. So I said, you know what? Somebody has to do it. So let me jump in the arena and try to do something. And I'm here. I'm here just trying to do the right thing, trying to work for all of you, and try to contribute to Miami-Dade and actually to the world, sending this right message that we can do things better. Even though if they are working, we can always improve it. Once again, I am here for you. I'm a write-in candidate, so I'm the last option in the ballot, which is the bubble with the empty line. So if you want to vote for me, you have to write a bubble that last option and then write Carlos de Armas on the line. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next up, Ms. Ludmila Duman.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you. It's a blessing and an honor to be before you guys today. One thing I've realized is I'm in the midst of chapters of sororities and fraternities, and I believe that at the end we've made a book. And like the Bible that has many books, we become one. Today I'm before you so that we can become one. My name is Ludmila Demond. I am from Haiti. I came here in 1986. The school I attended was Holmes Elementary, which no longer exists anymore. And my sister attended Northwestern and the other one attended Edison. And so I have been in the community. I know the community. I am who I am because the community has raised me. But I'm also a woman of God, and right now I'm blessed to be in the house of God. And I'm glad to see that the house of God is presenting this today with the Divine Nine, because the voice of God must be heard in government. I am here today to make sure there is inclusion all around in Miami-Dade County. We have yet to see a black mayor since 1836. Why is that? Is it because we can't do it? Absolutely not. But there are social inequalities. There are wealth disparities that keeps people like myself who chooses to go forward in life and to do what you see me doing today standing before you. I am for you. And I ask that when you do go and vote, remember the same way the slaves did what they did under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of abuse, the same way MLK did what he did, caught a bullet for each and every one of us today to sit here today. Today, I ask you, allow me to allow your children to ride on my back so that tomorrow we won't have this issue again. Remember to vote for me.
Thank you. Former Mayor Alex Pinellas.
Pastor, thank you very much. Senator Bullard, South Dade pastors, my colleagues on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm delighted to be back here at Second Baptist. Pastor brings back a lot of memories. I'm delighted to be here in South Dade, especially in this part where I spent much time with Carlos Malone, with then Pastor Coates, phenomenal people who have done just phenomenal work here in Miami-Dade County. You know, I'm a lifetime resident of Miami-Dade County. My parents immigrated to this country. I was born a year later. They're no longer with us, but my parents left me something valuable. They didn't leave me physical wealth. They didn't leave me assets or money in the bank. They left me values, the values of hard work, dedication, honesty, service, and most importantly, they taught me about faith. And they taught me how faith can really help you in the good and the bad times. And really, it's those values and that faith that has really guided me throughout my journey here in Miami-Dade County, through school, through law school, through my early years of service as a city councilman, county commissioner, and mayor, always working to level the playing field, bringing about programs like universal pre-kindergarten for all of Florida's 4-year-olds, closing the gun show loophole, dealing with gun violence, bringing about the homeless trust, growing the airport and the seaport, fighting for public transportation. And those are the principles that have guided me now in the private sector and will guide me again as I seek to serve you again as mayor of Miami-Dade County. I'm looking forward to sharing more of my platform with you, but I'm very much blessed to be with you here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Commissioner Xavier Suarez.
Thank you, Pastor, and Senator Dwight, good friend, all of you, ladies and gentlemen. As I was walking in, I was telling the young man a story of my ascendancy in the political arena. I ran for city commission 1979 and lost. I ran for city commission in 1981 and lost, and ran for mayor in 1983 and lost. So my son, who is now the mayor of the city of Miami, said, he was 8 years old at the time, and he said, he knew how competitive I was in academics and in sports and so on. He said, Daddy, how come you always lose? And ladies and gentlemen, it's not about losing. It's about trying, and it's about trying to do the right thing in this community, as I've tried to do now for 41 years. As Alex was talking about the transportation, I'm the only candidate that believes that we can have free public transportation in Miami-Dade. And by the way, thanks to the vote of these two folks that are in front of me, my two colleagues that are running for mayor, we now have a millage rate that will allow enough reserves to have free public transportation, like the mayor of Kansas City has done, Quentin Lucas. It can be done for the foreseeable future into the fiscal year. And then once I'm there, I will continue it forever and ever. I want to say what brings us here is really the ideal of having everyone have the opportunities that we've had. And I want to end my opening statement with a quote from FDR. He said, "The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide for those who have too little." That's been my lifetime effort to do and to accomplish, and I will hope to do that as your mayor beginning in November.
Thank you so much. You know, by the noise and the colorful signs that you've seen, you've been introduced to our timekeepers. They're two of the most important folks in the room tonight. If our timekeepers could wave their placards so folks know that they exist. All right. So when you see the 30 seconds and the 15 seconds, that'll be your indication of how much time you have left. You've all been given the ground rules, but for the folks that are here, just quickly going over our rules of engagement, all right? Questions will be posed from a range of matters affecting the entire county and issues specific to the residents of the South Dade communities. Candidates will be given 1 minute to reply to questions directed to them or to address open field questions that are directed at everyone. During open field questioning, candidates are urged not to speak out of turn until each candidate has an opportunity to address the open field questions on the floor at that time. Candidates may use one of their rebuttals. Yes, each candidate will have 3 45-second rebuttals that they can use at any given moment. If they find the need to double down on something, or if they get name checked in a statement, we know that does happen, and so we want to give folks an opportunity within reason, or a series of opportunities within reason, to rebut those moments during the Q&A segment. Timekeepers as you've been introduced to, will be situated with their color cue cards to let you know when 30 seconds are left to speak, and then again at the 15-second mark. We encourage you to adhere to those times, please, because we do want to get in as many questions as we can. Pastor Jackson and I will be going through a series of open questions on a number of topics, but at 8 o'clock, we do want to open it up for a few audience questions for folks that are here. So if something has not been covered, if there's something pressing that's on your heart, we will have a moment for about 3 to 4 questions around the 8 o'clock hour. So I definitely want to urge folks to be prepared for that, but to also be an active listener. A lot of folks will be ready to chomp at the bit, want to ask that question and not realizing that that question's been asked 20 minutes ago. So we want to encourage folks to be active listeners and pay attention. So we're going to go ahead and get underway. And if you don't mind, Pastor Jackson, I'll ask the first question, and it had something to do with the drive over here, of course. We're in the South Dade community. We have 2 major bus lines that operate here in the Richmond Heights community, the 52 and the 35. 52 being one of the largest routes in the county, as we know, but the 35 being equally significant to the residents of South Dade. Just to give you an understanding of the 35 route, that is a route that runs from Homestead all the way through and drops students off at the Miami-Dade Kendall campus. Unfortunately, that bus line has been privatized. Privatized. So that bus line now operates with non-traditional buses, what we affectionately call jitney-style buses here in the South Dade community. And so my question to you is on the issue of mass transit, and it's really kind of a 2-parter, so I hope you can get it all in that minute. One is, as mayor, will you fight to restore privatized lines and make them, again, public transit lines for communities in the Southern Corridor that have been impacted by this privatization? And then the second part of that is, of course, the rail. What will you as mayor do to advocate for extending the rail through the South Dade corridor that has been asked for years by South Dade residents, but explicitly in the last few years, we've gone to the county commission to ask about the extension of the rail further south. So again, what will you as mayor do to fight for the restoration of now privatized lines and restore those to being public lines? And what will you do about the rail? And we will start that question in the order that we began the presentation with Ms. Barley first.
Thank you. So throughout my entire campaigning, I have already stated that I'm looking to put the routes that was taken and outsources out to third parties, placed back into Miami-Dade County, which will also create jobs for our bus operators. We all know that the half-penny taxes was proved to actually bring the train further down south, and somehow the money was allocated to a different project, so that project did not take place. So I'm looking to actually find funding with the urban mass transportation to actually get funding back into Miami-Dade County to further the train further down south. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I would like to hear from Commissioner Bovo.
Thank you for the question. I believe that the mayor needs to make a commitment that goes globally to our entire community. We need to commit to making sure that the taxes that you're paying in property taxes and all taxes are being invested in the wisest way possible. So let me say that I am a supporter and a champion for the idea of rail all the way down to Florida City. And everything I've done on the Board of County Commission has begun to set up exactly that. Create the density required to bring ridership, voted on a BRT system that will run a bus completely uninterrupted with stations that look like train platforms in order to bring the ridership necessary so that we could get federal funds, additional federal funds. The $100 million that are coming now from the federal government are basically because of the vote that I took to make sure that we have a real transportation solution that we could build upon. To say that we're going to get rail overnight is misleading, and do not fall into that trap.
Thank you. Next up, Commissioner Cava.
So I have fought against the privatization of these routes. I've fought to change the buses to decent buses. I brought this to the news media. I fought to add a bus route in this area. I brought express buses to the transitway. I voted against bus rapid transit because the studies showed that the results of a one-seat ride would have been so much more effective in getting people to utilize the system. We're getting the bus rapid transit. I've heard one of my colleagues reference that he's going to undo that. I don't know what magical thinking that is. We'll get this within 2 years. The train, by the way, basically extension of Metrorail is the only thing that would be really the best, because it would be a one-seat ride. That would take 8 years at a minimum to come. So we have a better bus project. It's coming along. It will definitely enhance bus service on the most frequent routes and consolidate in some of the overlap in the cities. So I have been the strongest transit advocate for this area on the commission, and I will continue as mayor.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Next up, Mr. Darrell Ramos.
Yes, as probably you already know, I'm up for the Metro, South, North, Kendall, Doral, and FIU, and Northwest. This is something that needs to be done, and I'm coming together with a comprehensive and articulated solution, not including only the train, but also other solutions for transportation. We will have feeders to feed the trains, and also other means of transportation, opening roads for people who wanna bike or skate, people who wanna use scooters, and also if you wanna walk, we will have wider sidewalks with shops along the line. In order to do this, I have a proposal called urban corridors that will include all these solutions. And I invite you to go to my website, carlosadrmas.com, and check it out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mon.
Thank you. I believe there's enough funds in the county to make sure that the South has the proper transportation that is reliable, accessible, and safe. And what I'm hearing on this platform is issues. I don't hear the solutions. We need a solution. We need all of the solutions, and we need your voices. So as your mayor, I believe that whatever the public is using as far as transportation should be public. And I'm looking forward to making sure that's what you get, public transportation. In regards to the rail, I've lived in New York for about 1.5 years, so I know that infrastructure is a little bit different, and it's consistent as far as subways. But we do need something down here. We do need the rail to come further south in order for the south to come up north and the north to go down south. So I'm ready to fight for that for you.
Thank you. Mayor Pinellas.
Senator, it's precisely these issues why I've been endorsed by both of our transit workers unions, received the highest score from the Miami Riders Alliance. Listen, there's a role for privatization, I think in the first and last mile, but not in our major routes. Those should be run by our public transit operators. As it relates to rail, I am the only candidate that has very clearly said that upon being elected, I will reverse that horrible decision that was made 2 years ago, okay, to reject rail in South Dade. It was promised to the people of South Dade. You've been paying the half-penny sales tax, and if there's a quarter that's logical for rail, it's the busway quarter. It's at grade. It costs a lot less money than building elevated, and there's enough technology to take that on a one-seat ride all the way to Government Center. But let's also say why we don't have rail is because that half penny's been grossly misspent over the last 15 years. That's the reason why we ended up not getting a decision on rail 2 years ago.
Thank you so much. And lastly, Commissioner Suarez.
The last part of what Mr. Pinella said is entirely correct. Due to misspending led by the mayor of the county and followed by some of the candidates that are running for mayor, without naming names, we have not completed and we have not even started on the SMART plan. But you know what? It can be done and it will be done, including rail down south. I led a bunch of public officials in the first battle to keep the rail down south, including Kiani McGee and Mayor Otis Wallace and many others. And it will happen. It will happen because I will stop using the $100 million a year that is available for bonding. I will issue with an 18-to-1 multiplier, $1.8 billion right off the bat, and we'll have rail down south and rail in the North Corridor.
Thank you so much. Would like to use one of your rebuttals, Commissioner Calvin? All right, go for it.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, the half penny was a lie. You've heard that from many of us. It was a lie from the outset because it was a full penny's worth of programs, and when it went from the full penny to the half, the programs were not changed. So don't accept lies going forward. And the North Corridor is poised to have elevated rail because there is no solution there. And don't let something else get in the way of making that promise move forward. Putting light rail in South Dade is not a one-seat ride. Once you get out of Metro Rail and you have to change to anything, it's not a one-seat ride. And bus rapid transit is just as fast as light rail. I didn't vote for it. It's not my preference. But you'll have it within 2 years, and the train will be 8 if we're lucky.
Thank you.
Can I rebut?
Rebut, yes.
Just quickly, it is a one-seat ride if we have rail that connects to the other one because there's a ramp already. So it can be done. And we'll figure out a way to use, I mean, Alex is right. We'll figure out a way to use the $100 million. We're not going to turn that down, okay? Some of the things that need to be done for light rail at grade is to have the crossing arms. That's only $11 million, by the way, of the $100 million. And we'll figure out a way to use the rest of the money and get the light rail built down south because it goes right up the ramp and it connects to Metro Rail with one seat, or seamless is the other way they express it.
Thank you. Would anyone like to use their rebuttal at this moment before we move forward? All right, so.
Very, very, very simple. I hear what everyone is saying, but my question is, why hasn't it been done? Stop making promises and not delivering. Let's get it delivered.
Enough said. All right. Pastor Jackson.
Yes, one of the greatest concerns in our area and perhaps over Dade County is housing. Where these folks going to live and how they're going to afford to live. And with COVID-19 that might be here for a while, what is your plan to help people have a place to live?
And we'll start in the same order, starting with Ms. Barley.
Yes. I believe that Miami-Dade County was not prepared for this COVID-19 situation. So basically, instead of saying what have not been done, I'll just give my solution. I think that we should come up with a financial plan for small business owners and also the residents here in Miami-Dade County. Basically, the small business loan department, they are giving out loans for small business owners to help them stay afloat. I think that Miami-Dade County should come up with a package like that as well. As far as like rent control, we need rent control here in Miami-Dade County, which will prevent landlords from increasing rents every 6 months to a year, because we know that that family that lives there, their income's still the same. So if the rent increases, that family would not be able to pay their rent, and that will allow them to kick that family out, and they're out in the streets. So I think a better financial plan we need to put together here in Miami-Dade County.
Thank you. Commissioner Bovo?
The key to better affordable housing for not just workforce, but also for low income, is merge with transit. All the work that we've done along the corridor is to help identify areas that we could create the hubs, the get on and get off points for our transit sections, where would allow people to literally consider having a place to live without having a car. And I know that could be kind of mind-boggling when we talk about Miami-Dade County, but it's already happening. If you look in areas of Brickell, if you look at areas of Dayland, the northeast end of our county, there are already areas with enough density that you could literally walk to transit. And for me, I think the way we do these things is incentivize developers through cutting of red tape on our permitting process. We incentivize developers by giving them more density in exchange for the kind of housing that we'd like to see along these corridors. But let's be mindful, you know, it's very difficult for just the county to build housing. And when we do that, usually it does not meet the grade of what people are expecting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Levine Cava?
We have the highest percentage of people spending more than half their income on housing-related costs of any major city in the country. That's why our children and our grandchildren cannot afford to live here, and that's why so many are working multiple jobs to get by. Home ownership is still the pathway for growing the middle class. And recently, my colleagues all voted, I was the lone no vote, to move surtax money out of the home ownership program to rental. And we can't afford to do that. We need to keep this money for home ownership. We need to subsidize it more, and I have plans to do that. We can also cut costs by cutting red tape at the county, using the county property more efficiently, reducing our construction costs, doing mixed income housing, spending money on rehabbing. We have a lot of housing that could be ready if we invest in helping to restore it, and rent to buy programs, which are also a great pathway to home ownership.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up, Mr. DeArmas.
Yes, while I was working here at the City Bank back there, I helped many of you to purchase their first house using programs from the county. We were able to find at least 20% of the cost of the house from the county, so you can be our owner. So the way I'm going to attack this housing issue is in 4 ways. Increase ownership to at least 70% in the next 4 years, control rent, save affordable housing inventory, and also put a downward pressure on pricing by increasing offer. I will not only revise those programs that are already outdated because they are so that they are not working anymore. I will go back and revise them and updating, and also implement some others that I have already, in my plan to help people buy their first house. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mon?
I am a real estate broker, and I have been in the real estate business for approximately 15 years. The years or the days of our parents owning their homes for 30 years is kind of up. The same way the years of people staying in one job and retiring in those jobs are also gone. It shouldn't be, but they are. Reason being is people are leaving because there's no jobs in Miami-Dade County. Without the jobs in Miami-Dade County, we cannot buy homes. We need to, and under my leadership, we will create better jobs in Miami-Dade County to make sure that housings are being built in light of COVID-19. I believe that we mentioned something about COVID-19, how to make sure that people are staying in their homes. And so for me as a real estate broker, assisting individuals to buy a home in the median price of $200,000 to $300,000 is very difficult. But Miami-Dade County does have available land, including for those who are renting. Miami-Dade County has homes that we can revitalize and revamp for people living here.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pinellas.
Senator, my past 16 years have been in the private sector, and they've really given me a tremendous education and perspective on how we could deal with many of the challenges we face here in Miami-Dade County, specifically on this area. My business has been in affordable housing. We've provided affordable housing and workforce housing to thousands of families in this county without any government assistance. So it's really given me an interesting perspective on this issue. We've got to do at least 4 things. Number one, we have to preserve the existing affordable housing stock. We are losing it every day to foreign investors who are paying extraordinarily high prices per unit and basically making those properties, once they trade hands, by definition, unaffordable. That's number one. Number two, my colleague is correct. The biggest asset we have right now in this county is not money, it's land. government-owned land, 500 million square feet. That could be the new contribution by the public to find faith-based developers, community-based. I don't know, I'm hearing a bell, but I'm not seeing.
Yeah, that was your time is up.
Oh. 1 minute to tackle these issues.
Yeah, yeah, definitely goes extremely fast. Commissioner Suarez.
I'll help a little bit with that.
You do 3 and 4.
Yeah, no, I'll connect up with what Alex was just saying. In fact, we do have 4,500 properties owned and leased by the county, and we have to start a divestiture program. Commissioner Jordan put together and enacted an ordinance that said that if we sold the land, 25% would be for affordable housing, but we have to make it available for affordable housing. And Daniela was right when she mentioned the dependency that we have on housing for our income in Miami-Dade County. 62% of the people in Dade County either spend more than 50% of their disposable income either for housing or transportation. I already gave you the formula to reduce transportation essentially to zero. For housing, we need to do what Daniela and I at one point suggested, which is 1% of the operating budget of the county, $50 million should be added to the $50 million we get from the federal government. That doubles our effort, and there's other things that we'll talk about. Maybe we'll catch up with the other two that Alex had.
No point. Wanted to leave room if anyone wanted to use their allotted 3. All right. Thank you for your answers. So one of the questions, and I'll preface this by saying that let's just talk geography. So in the North Corridor, we have Dolphin Stadium. To the west, in areas like Doral, we have essential services like the police and supervisor of elections office. To the east, we have the beaches. But in the south, we seem to have a deficiency of those resources. Many of you who were here pre-Andrew recall that we had a bustling South Dade Government Center where we had an offshoot of the mayor's office, essential services that could be gathered there. But of course, the use of that facility has gone now where luckily we have our 2 commissioners that are housed there. What, as mayor, do you envision and what would you put forward to provide resources to what we often say is a neglected South Corridor in terms of essential services, resources, and really financial business development that we see happening in corridors like downtown, again, the Western Corridor, the Northern Corridor, et cetera. What would you do as mayor to move essential services and resources to the south under your watch? And we'll actually flip it up a little bit and start with Commissioner Suarez first and work our way back through the alphabet.
When I was mayor of the city of Miami, the Grand Prix folks were running their races in the middle of downtown, and that may have been nice at the beginning, but they said they wanted to move somewhere else, and Homestead came up, and so we were happy to kick them out and send them to Homestead because it's a much better location. The same thing we've done recently with the steel recycling plant. This is going to employ thousands of folks, and it's a $300 million facility. Some people criticized it because the mayor's son was involved. I don't care if the mayor's son is involved. If he's doing something useful on the south end, so be it. And of course, the key thing is to have that rail connector. You need to have mobility. Otis Wallace has a son-in-law who works downtown at the Hyatt. Takes him 1 hour and 45 minutes to get there, not to mention the expense. We've got to solve that. We've got to connect the south end with rail and very, very quick connectivity from the south end.
Thank you so much. Mayor Pinellas.
By the way, Senator, I also had an office at the South Dade Government Center when I served as mayor, but I agree with Commissioner Suarez. If we want to bring true economic development to the South Dade corridor, we need rail. It's been proven over and over. A glorified bus system does not develop new business opportunities. Rail does. And you'll see an entire corridor from Dadeland to Florida City replete with small, medium-sized businesses that come as a result of a rail project. So, you know, if anything else, we need to come out of a meeting like this in South Dade with a renewed commitment to bring rail to South Dade. We promised it to the people of this community. They've been paying the half penny, okay? It is the most logical corridor for at-grade rail, okay? And yes, you can use a light technology, light rail technology that goes all the way to downtown. That, to me, if we do nothing else, Senator, nothing else, we should commit to that.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mon?
I'll continue with making sure that we have transportation, railing and busing, but definitely companies such as Amazon, they can come down here and create jobs in the South. And of course, with the creation and the extension of our transportation, our rail system and bus lines, we can get the economic development going in the South, because that's what we're lacking. There's not enough jobs because there's not a way to get there. So those two go hand in hand, and that would be something that I'll be focusing on.
Thank you so much. Mr. DeArmas?
I definitely agree with my colleagues here. Yeah, we need the rail. It will spur economic development all the way to the south. And actually, I'm talking again about the urban corridors that I'm proposing, because the urban corridors is a comprehensive solution, not only bringing transportation, the rail to south, but also is changing the code. So we're going to have more housing. We're going to have more shops, because along these wide sidewalks and roads for alternative transportation means, we'll have shops that will spur development to the south. Also, if we are connecting with rail, more companies will be able to come to the south and establish, because the transportation will be there. We are also connecting Homestead, already built housing that you can find a 2-bedroom for $1,000 or $1,200, a 2-2, which is affordable for many people. The only thing is they are so far and they are so away. But if we connect it with the rail, that will be suitable. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Levine Cava?
When I first ran for office, I promised to bring economic development to South Dade. And we now have an economic development grant from the federal government, and we're building on 5 years of planning with Commissioner Moss of the South Dade Solutions Summits, and we're getting it done. And Amazon is opening up headquarters, and that's a great thing too. I pledged to bring county services to South Dade Government Center, and I was thwarted by Mayor Jimenez about it. As county mayor, we will bring a services center to South Dade. We need to put back our defense mission at the air base. That's good jobs. I've been fighting for that with the chambers and with the cities, and we brought downtown development to Homestead. These are all things that I've delivered on, and I will continue to put South Dade on the map as your mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Bova?
Without a doubt, South Dade is perhaps the last frontier of South Florida, of Miami-Dade County. And obviously you've seen, all of you that live here have seen the continual growth, the development that has come. Now look, the one thing I would hope that we would walk out of here is not to be seduced again by the lies and the promises that cannot be fulfilled or be kept. In order for us to be able to get rail all the way down to Florida City, you need to have money. In order for us to be able to do it, you need to build the density, which is exactly what I have been working on for the last 6 or 7 years. It's been piecemeal, painstaking, but we finally have been able to create the rapid corridors that we need to allow the density. And why the density? Right now, the South Corridor produces about 17,000 riders per day. It's a good number, but it's not enough to get federal funds. We need to get to 35,000 riders per day. That comes along with density, and then those economic opportunities come. But what you can't have is say one thing here in the south and then go to the north and promise them the same thing. Oh, and by the way, to the west, you're going to do the same thing, because we don't have enough money to do all of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, Ms. Barley?
Yes, I noticed that the south area have been abandoned for quite some time by all of our leaders we have here in Miami-Dade County. I am looking to create economic development, creating jobs further down south, transportation to uplift the south area, accessible funds for the business owners such as grants and loans, and tackle the infrastructure that we are experiencing further down south, and to add the athletic program back into parks and recreations. Thank you.
Rebuttal, please.
Yes, go for it.
I'm only up to number 2, Dwight.
You're up to number 2.
Don't look at me quite that way.
I'm keeping score. You got it.
All righty. I heard someone refer to Mayor Jimenez, and I'm looking forward to the day that it'll be former Mayor Jimenez. Commissioner Bovo was hinting that maybe some of these things are false promises. Let me tell you, I don't lie and I don't exaggerate, and I don't make any false promises that I have not kept. One last thing that ties in both of those comments. We had an opportunity to change and move Formula One from the Hard Rock Stadium down south, and we had most of the votes. Daniela and I were on the right side of that one, as we are on most issues, actually. And the mayor vetoed it, okay? So just remember, folks, and I have 15 seconds to say that. By the way, you guys are great with those signs. Really, I mean, it's peripheral, you know? So we're going to elect, yeah, I'm using up my time in the wrong way. We're going to elect 7 new commissioners and a new mayor, and we're going to get these things done in August 18th.
Thank you. Yes, we had one to use a rebuttal.
Yeah.
Mr. DeArmas?
I have to agree at some extent with Steve that we need density in order for the rail to have enough riders. But also we can that is going to be built over time while the corridor is building and we change the coding, the zoning. We will have more density down the road. So by the end of the railroad, the density will be there. And there's also another variable that Steve is not having in consideration, which is the feeders. The feeders will bring people to the rail. So this is going to be built also over time. So this is a system. You don't see it like a one-step solution. You see it like a system. How it's going to work, how it's going to SilverNet is going to be working, and how the synergies is going to work all together. It's going to bring more solutions than problems.
Thank you. Mayor Pinellas?
You know, it's interesting how we apply certain criteria to one part of town, but not to others, right? Density is a buzzword for federal money. No one talked about density when we spent $76 million for the Aventura parking lot, right? No one talked about density then. No one talked about density when we accepted an unsolicited bid to build a monorail project from downtown across the beach because we were not going to use federal funds. Oh, but by the way, on the South Dade corridor, which we promised, let's talk about density so we could delay it once again. So be careful with these buzzwords, because really what they are excuses for not doing something, because we apply one standard in one part of town and a different standard somewhere else.
Commissioner Bobo.
We just saw a really good abracadabra kind of move here, and you need to be close attention to what's going on here, okay? We're not attributing something brand new to this corridor, okay? But you've all been considering and talking about how we need to bring more development and services here. This is the last frontier. If you go further north, obviously you see the density. Northeast already has the density, probably the most dense corridor we have. And chances are, while some of these folks will now speak against it, the day they're in office, they'll support it, just like they did with the American Airlines Arena, where we're going to speak against it, we're not going to have it, and the day they walked into office, they approved it and they were on board. Folks, if you want honesty, and if you want to have transparent conversations, you could go to the past, no doubt about it. You have a choice there, okay? But if you want to have real conversation that's going to be transparent and we're going to point out how we could get things done, you're going to have a choice come this election, and it's not sitting behind me.
All right. All right. In the words of the St. Louis philosopher Nelly, it's getting hot in here. Reverend Jackson.
Yeah, our time is winding up, but one of the elephants in the room, of course, is law enforcement. One of the causes of unrest across our country is law enforcement. One of you all will be our next mayor, and we're honored that you all are down south. Down south, our cry is not for defunding, but we are interested in decertification. What do you do with the rogue cops? How do you encourage the good cops, but then weed out the bad cops? Now, that's very important to us to know your thoughts on what are we going to do with law enforcement and how are we going to bring that under control under your watch.
Thank you. And again, we'll start with Commissioner Suarez and work our way back through.
It's not as big a problem to do a citizens investigative panel as you believe listening to some of the county commissioners. I did it in the city of Miami 30 years ago. It's worked well. We fought some battles in the courts on the subpoena power. The last decision was 3 years ago, and we were able to subpoena in the city of Miami when I was mayor, all except for the particular officers involved in the incident, but you can get a lot of testimony from others. One other thing that's important is to have the right people at the top. When I was mayor of the city of Miami, we had 3 African-American police chiefs. First time in history. One succeeded by the other, and the other one next. You need to have homegrown people who know our community, and you need to have them as chief at the top, and you see that a lot of these things will be resolved. One other thing the county has done right, I give credit to all of us that are here, the body cameras are extremely important. That's why you saw that incident at the airport that was obviously picked up by a body camera, and you don't see too many other incidents in Dade County since we had the body cameras instituted.
Mayor Pinellas.
Pastor, you're absolutely right. We've got to do a better job of making sure we're recruiting the right folks to lead our departments and to participate as officers. You know, when I was mayor, we had an independent review panel. It's interesting, we're talking about it again now, and it was one that I worked hard with then Congresswoman Meek and Commissioner Roll to give it even more power. Unfortunately, that effort was defunded in 2009 after I left the mayor's office. So that's step number one. We need to have a real independent review panel with real powers, with real resources. I also think we need to do a better job of recruiting. One of the things I've talked a lot about is a national registry. So we make sure that we know that these folks who are applying to become officers in our departments, that they are worthy of that distinction. You know, the vast majority of our police officers are good people, but it's the bad actors, you're right, that we need to do a better job, and that falls on us. That falls on us to make sure we have the rules and procedures in place to identify those folks.
Thank you. Mr. Mon.
I believe one of the issues that we're facing is the lack of diversity in leadership in Miami-Dade County, especially in the mayoral seat. I believe that our police force are good, majority of them. But again, we hear there are bad apples. How do you take out the bad apples? Holding them accountable. We need a panel. I understand that Jimenez vetoed it, one, because he did not want that for the panel to subpoena those working in public offices or government. I think if you are a police officer, you should be subpoenaed. I think that if you are a mayor, you should be subpoenaed, because why? You're working for the public. So for me, I believe that we need the panel in order to have transparency, accountability, and unity, so that way we can see that the police officers who are working for the people are actually here for the people.
Mr. DeArmas.
Yeah, what I'm being seen on and on and on is that when we talk about an issue, you just speak in one way, or concentrating in a piece. The panel, of course, is a solution. It's something that is welcome. It's something that is supposed to bring more and better justice. But it's, you know, if we just focus on the panel by itself, I don't think it's going to work at the long run. We need to have a permanent, multi-level, comprehensive improvement plan. for the police. And has to be, because this problem has to be attacked from several fronts at the same time. There are so many things to do, not only the panel, and we need to open the discussion, open the forum for everybody to come up with ideas of what they think will be better in order to improve our police, and that has to be an ongoing program, because it doesn't matter how good it is, it's always subject to be improved.
Thank you. Commissioner Levine Cava.
Thank you. I like the language, Pastor, not defunding decertification, because power needs to have checks and balances, and that's our problem today. Not that our police force is not excellent, they are very excellent. And you know, right away our director mandated no more chokeholds in response to the public's outcry. But we do need to hire from the communities. We need to emphasize community policing. We need to give incentives for people to live in the neighborhoods they're policing. We need to do a better job of training with nonviolent tactics as well, mediation, de-escalation. We need to make sure that the records of misconduct are reviewed before hiring and reviewed once in office. And this will be good for everyone, the independent civilian panel, which I'm co-prime sponsor of the charter reform, which hopefully will be on the ballot for you all to vote in November, because we need to create it as a permanent office based on the public's demands. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bovo.
I do not support any kind of conversation that would speak to defunding the police, and I'm glad to see that all my colleagues here have now evolved to that position, because it was very unpopular in our community. I also subscribe to the words of Commissioner Moss, who I've had the pleasure of serving with 9 years, who says he wants more police in our community to keep our community safer. I'm endorsed by the PBA and the FOP, and I believe that what happened in Minnesota was murder. But it was murder in Minnesota, and our Miami-Dade Police Department should not be judged under the same guise of what's gone on in Minnesota. Our police department is greatly different. In fact, it's a model for many across the nation. Body cams, diversity, training, and protocols, these are all things that we have collaborated and have made sure that our department has. I have filed legislation to make sure that bad officers that have a history will not get hired by our department if they're coming from other departments. Because we do want to make sure that the bad apples are weeded out and that the good police officers are the ones in our streets.
My last, I'm sorry.
Ms. Barley. Then you can use your last rebuttal.
Yes, I'm not a fan on defunding the police department. I believe that Miami-Dade County Police Department and the city of Miami, our police departments, they have been doing a wonderful job, but it's unfortunate that they have to go through the changes according to the George Floyd situation. The first reform we had here in Miami-Dade County was back in the 60s after the McDuffie riot, and that was diversity. So I believe that if we implement diversity here in Miami-Dade County, we will see a better solution. We will have a better change here within our police department, which I don't think that we have an issue here with our police officers, because we need more officers here on the streets to actually protect our community. As we see that we just lost a couple of kids over the past week or so, and we needed the police officers to go out there to protect just in case something was to go down. You cannot send a social worker out there to do a job that the police officer was hired to do. So I'm for more police officers here to protect our community. Thank you.
All right, we have rebuttals from Commissioner Suarez, Commissioner Levine Cava, and then Mr. Mon. Go for it.
Ludmilla was entirely right when she said that the independent review panel the county's had all these years had no teeth, okay? And now we're hopefully going to have a CIP one way or the other, particularly if I'm elected. Now, who's at the top counts a lot. I mentioned before about African-American chiefs, but the mayor counts a lot. 1989, when we had that shooting of the motorcyclist, I went to the morgue and I asked to see the body. And I made sure that I could tell the community the bullet came in through the front, okay? Most mayors don't do that. The mayor of Miami right now, you've seen him go to the demonstrations, you've seen him talk to the demonstrators, you've seen him negotiate and de-escalate. And of course, I'm not sure I would go as far as he did when he gave his phone number on Facebook, but that's part of it too. You got to be accessible, and you got to talk to the community as I did in 1989.
Well, I'm a social worker, and I believe in the power of social work and other kinds of community services, and those in addition to the police. We need our police for public safety, for crime investigation. We have unsolved rape cases, we have unsolved economic crimes, we have murders, clearly, and I fought for more officers. We brought 80 officers additionally during my term to South Dade. But most importantly, as strong mayor, I will have the responsibility and the ability to put into place these kinds of protections, and looking forward to doing that as strong mayor. And I'll do it in a way that will benefit the community and the police force, because it will build the trust that is missing for so many, and that is what our police officers need, trust from the community so that they can do their work and keep us safe.
Mr. Mann, Mayor Pinellas, and then Mr. DeArmas.
What we have to have in Miami-Dade County and all throughout the U.S. is being proactive instead of reactive. I heard Bovo say it's not happening here, and because it happens somewhere else, let us not treat our police officers a certain way. I beg to differ, because January 2019, last year, in Miami Gardens, police put his knee on a pregnant woman's neck. It took our state attorney a year and a half, June 25th, to file charges. Why? Because she's running for office again. Let us not lie to the people. I love our police officers. I have friends. I have people that's in there. But there is something that we need to make sure that we are getting done. Let's not be delusional. Because it's not happening to you, it doesn't mean it's not happening elsewhere. And we need to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. Making sure that the police are accountable by making sure that the mayor, whoever is the mayor, and I pray that it's me, will get the job done.
Mayor Pinellas.
Senator, many of my colleagues have mentioned diversity in the ranks, but diversity at the leadership position is important too, and I'm very proud that under my administration, Bobby Parker served as the director of the Miami-Dade County Police Department. I'm very proud of that. Let me also be very clear on something else. We're running for strong mayor. So there's a lot of regulations we could put in place, a lot of rules, and we need to. We definitely need an independent review panel. But whether we have one or not, let me be very clear. If I see with my eyes what happened to George Floyd, coming from one of my police officers, let me be very clear. As strong mayor, I will fire that police officer on the spot, whether we have an independent panel or not. And that's what's at stake here. We're running for strong mayor, not for advocate mayor, but for strong mayor.
Mr. DeArmas.
I'm running mainly to add value to the debate. That's my main concern when I decided to run in this race. And to also spur a wider vision for each and every one of us to be able to tackle issues like this. If something has a probability to happen, it will happen. That's by the law of big numbers. The only thing is we don't know when. But we have to mitigate. That's why we have to have risk management and do things in advance in a proactive way to be able to mitigate the impact of an adverse event happening. And this is something that we need to implement in the way we govern. This has to be part of ourselves, part of the way we govern, the way we do things day after day.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for fielding the questions from myself and Pastor Jackson. We're going to be opening up questions to the floor. We have a microphone here in the aisle. Of course, we want to ask folks to shift over here accordingly and keeping a social distance, of course. I know I see hands raised up. We're asking folks to come to the mic. So, we have cameras and streaming going on, so we want to make sure folks get a chance to ask. Before I'll field that first question, just a friendly reminder to folks, this is great that we're doing this now. 4 years from now, we're also going to be either re-electing a mayor or electing a new mayor in 2024, but also electing for the first time in our county a sheriff in Miami-Dade County. I don't want people to forget that in 2024, we'll be electing for the first time in our county a sheriff who will be taking approximately 28% of the budget with them for their job. So I just want to make sure we understand that this is something that we have to have ongoing political education around. We're going to open up to the floor. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Gina Smith, and I bring you greetings from the beautiful city of Florida City, a part of the last frontier. Being a part of the last frontier, as mayor, with the overdevelopment of these communities, as mayor, how would you all save or support our city and farms?
All right. How would you support our agricultural community? Is that, I'm guessing, the gist of that?
Yes.
Yes. All right, and we're going to go ahead and start with Ms. Barley first and work our way through the alphabet.
I will support it the best way I know how, basically working closely with you guys to get whatever needs to get done the proper way. So you guys will have my full support on whatever you need to get done to create a better quality of life in your area.
Commissioner Bobo?
And that is the ultimate challenge of the last frontier. How do you maintain that uniqueness of South Dade, but at the same time bring business, commerce, and opportunities? When we developed the rapid transit corridor, it envisions development that would go along the corridor. Puts a lot of less pressure on the UDB because that development would literally be within a mile of the center of the corridor. You could have that density that you need, which allows people to come, commerce to come, and yet at the same time you release pressure and you can maintain those farmlands. I think all of us in this room want to make sure we protect it and we nurture it more than anything else. But if we want to bring the kind of investments we want in South Dade, then we need to look at those corridors and we need to be flexible, as what Commissioner Moss would often say, allow us to build mini Dadelands.
Thank you. Commissioner Levine-Cobb?
Yeah, thank you. So I've been the chief collaborator here in South Dade, and we've been meeting with the mayors of South Dade for the 6 years I've been in office, and since COVID, it's been weekly calls. I've brought resources to the cities up and down, but let's talk about farming. I've gotten the support from the Farm Bureau and the environmental groups because I have fought for open land and to preserve ag. We need to innovate in our agriculture. It's still #2 industry in Miami-Dade County. It is greatly underappreciated. I've brought this to the county commission many times, and as mayor, I'll be able to double down and really pay attention and not make it an afterthought. So we need ag innovation. It's one thing that I've not been able to accomplish yet as commissioner, and as mayor, we will do it. We'll partner with the state, with foreign countries like Israel that wants to bring innovation. I've been meeting with Israeli representatives about that. So there are things that we can do that will really spur growth and jobs in the agricultural sector.
Thank you so much. Mr. DeArmas?
Yes, okay, agriculture is pretty important. It's a very important industry because it's what is feeding us. Otherwise, we'll be starving, right? So, in agriculture is not easy. They need a lot of help. Sometimes they need to have like, very low interest leverage in order for them to succeed. Also, we need to look ways or look into new technologies for them to be more productive. Because if you are able to produce more in less land, more effectively, and also reach more markets, you will be more profitable. So this is something that we need to implement. We need to put in place a plan that will help agricultural personnel or agricultural owners to be able to specialize and be more productive, more effective with less cost, and enter in an economies of scale where they reduce the cost, the unitarian cost, in order to have more profit at the bottom line.
Thank you so much. Ms. Damon?
It's possible to have additional businesses down south while still preserving our farmlands. I love to plant. I'm not an animal, I don't deal with the animals as much, but I love to plant. So I love to see our farmlands preserved. But I know that Daniela mentioned something regarding Israel. Sounds great, but in light of COVID-19, we've lost a lot of jobs. Small businesses are suffering, but there are farmers here. Why should I have to look outside of this country for what we have here already? Let us build from within in order to build our economic development in Miami-Dade County. Let us stop outsourcing everything. Get the farmers involved, get the community involved. Let's build back.
Thank you. And before Mayor Pinellas and Commissioner Suarez answer, for the remaining questions that are coming from community, we ask that you be poignant, A, with your question, and specific to the candidates that you would like to have address those questions, if you can be so poignant. Mayor Pinellas and then Commissioner Suarez.
Well, the question was about cooperation with cities and our agricultural industry. First of all, I think the lack of cooperation with the cities is in full display right now, literally, between the county and the municipalities on a whole host of issues. So that's number one. I've always worked very closely with our municipalities. It is no coincidence that 11 of the current municipal mayors in this county are endorsing my campaign, including the mayor of Florida City, Otis Wallace. As it relates to agriculture, my colleagues is absolutely correct. I've had numerous roundtables with members of the Farm Bureau who are supporting my campaign, and they have very clearly laid out exactly what you just said, and that is if we focus on local business retention, a local preference policy where we're buying locally and giving preference to our homegrown companies, we could do so much more for them.
Go for it.
Since we're bragging about endorsements, I'm going to throw one in. I just got a text from Vice Mayor of Homestead, Patricia Faircloth, and she's supporting my candidacy. We should bring other things to South Dade and respect the agricultural zoning requirement. That requires, first of all, that we don't go against our zoning code. And one of the reasons that I maybe don't have quite as many contributors as some of the colleagues that are running is that I voted against many of these developers that were trying to put the wrong thing in the wrong place. I don't want to mention any names, but some of the biggest developers in the United States, and charter schools, by the way. It's a $5 billion economy. We have to attend to it. We have to preserve it, and I will as your mayor.
Thank you so much. Next question.
Senator, you put me in a spot. I have to direct them? Okay,
you gotta
so
pick-
the three sitting commissioners
Pick your favorite three, yes.
and the former mayor, I heard two of the ailings of this community, but the third is the sewer system. We have a crumbling sewer system that's under now a federal judge, is a $1 billion problem. We can have all these other great things, but if our sewer system is falling apart, we won't do anything. So what is your plan, I'm sorry to the other three, to get this fixed?
All right, so we're going to go Commissioner Cava, Mayor Pinellas, Commissioner Bovo on that three. Next question lined up, and I do apologize. We will bounce around and throw the questions to other folks as we go around.
Right. Well, thank you, Manny, for the question. And let me say that that's how I became the water warrior, because the sewage pipes were bursting, our beaches were closed, our bays were dying, ruining our economy, our tourism, our health, so many causes, and so frustrating. And I've had to micromanage a lot of the solutions. But as mayor, I will be elevating these to the 29th floor. The Department of Environmental Regulation has been a reactive, not a proactive agency. They've not been part of this discussion unless somebody applies for a permit. We don't even get advice about environmental issues from them. The water and sewer, compared to other parts in the state, they say we're doing better, but that's not good enough for us because this is really hurting all of us, and the word is out, and it is hurting our tourism industry and therefore our economy, as well as putting our health at risk. So I've fought repeatedly to prevent the pollution in our bay, on our beaches, and in our drinking water, including salt water from rising seas.
Representative Pinellas?
The problem, though, is that this is one of the many issues that we just keep kicking down the road. We just keep ignoring it. Yes, the pipes are bursting, but we don't make the investment to fix them. And they're not going to get fixed by themselves. So that's polluting the bay. We have saltwater intrusion. We have stormwater runoff. We have all of these issues because we have not made the necessary investments. Okay? We've got to be serious about this. You know, we tried to be serious about a major investment in transportation, and then look what happened with the money and how it was mispended. So we need to be serious about setting forth our priorities and identifying how we're going to pay for it. Because the replumbing, Senator, basically what he's saying is the replumbing of Miami-Dade County is going to cost a lot of money, and it needs to get done. Sure, we could access state money, I think, for a lot of our septic tank needs. There may be some federal dollars available, especially now in this era of economic recovery after COVID. But we've got to address this issue, and it simply has not been addressed over the past 10 years.
And Commissioner Bovo, and we'll move to the next question.
When I got to the commission, we had to make the difficult decisions that led to increase in water rates, unfortunately, because it was ignored for a long time. Commissioners just did not want to deal with this item. And we had to bite the bullet and make sure that we could start making the investment. I've sponsored most of the legislation that we've done over the last couple of years with regards to water reuse, solar energy. I have been very supportive of Senator Diaz and Senator Avila's efforts in Tallahassee to get tourist tax to be able to invest in our infrastructure, particularly the conversion of our septic tanks. And I think it's a good idea to let tourists help pay for it. And look, I think Daniela's right when we talk about our beaches. Our beaches are the biggest economic engine we have in Miami-Dade County. We need to protect it. We need to make sure that we're not only having clean beaches, but that we don't have the issues of sargassum and water contamination. Tourists will find other places to go, and I think these things have to be a priority. They can't be ignored.
Next question.
Well, good evening, candidates. I just wanted to ask a really brief question about, thank you. Gotcha. Appreciate it. So I wanted to ask a question about equitable development. Back in 2016, Commissioner Suarez was the prime sponsor for community benefits policy. We in South Dade are being affected by development, and community is often referred to last rather than in the beginning, right? They want approval on a project, they want buy-in, so then they come to us so it can sail through the Board of County Commissioners. As our next future leader in this county, would you support a robust community benefits policy, really championing equitable development across Miami-Dade County? Thank you.
All right, so that community benefits question, because Commissioner Suarez's name check, will let you have it, but Ms. Damon, as well as Mr. Darmis, to answer that question.
Yes, we did push for that 4 years ago. It didn't make its way through committees and to a final vote, and it wasn't approved. But you know what? Sometimes we do it de facto, if not de jure. If not under the law, we just do it. And there's ways of twisting arms a little bit. We did it for the $68 million Miami Grand Central Station. And Bishop Adams and many others in the community were very helpful in convincing those folks that we were going to use CRA money to build that. And you know what we got out of it? Besides a bunch of other items of community benefits, the people in Overtown get to ride Tri-Rail for free in perpetuity. And Keon Hardiman and my son Francis were instrumental in doing that. So there are ways of getting around it, even if you don't have a cooperative commission. And remember, we will have a cooperative commission after August 18th. And if you want to know who I'm supporting, just write me an email at XavierSuarezESQ@AOL, and I'll be happy to tell you.
Ms. Dumont?
I believe as your next mayor, whatever the county needs and the need of the people is what I will be focused on. You know, not having a cooperative commission doesn't make sense to me because you're here for the public. Unless you're here to serve yourselves and to get patted on the back, I can see why we're fighting and never getting solutions. So at this time, for me, whatever the county needs is what I'll be focused on and making sure we deliver.
Mr. DeArmas?
Okay, yes. The number, the first thing that I will do is re-engineer the budget. I'm expecting to save around 20% of the budget, money that is being misused or not going the right way. That will be around $2 billion a year. With that amount of money, there are so many issues we can solve, on top of the money that we can get from the federal, from the state, and that other monies that Alex talked about. And we can also not only help the communities, but also in the last question, but also in the prior one, to help with the sewer problem that we are having in Miami-Dade. I'm also going to implement proactive meetings. So on the weekends, I will come personally to each community to talk to the leaders and the communities, not for you to listen to me, for me to listen to you. So you will be able to tell me in real time your needs, your concerns, so we can address them timely, in a timely manner and an effective manner.
Thank you. And I do apologize for not allowing everyone to get an answer in, but we're trying to get as many questions, and we also want to get a kind of potpourri of different answers from the collective without going through all of the candidates, so I do apologize.
It's just that I'm the only one that actually created some community benefits law.
I understand, Commissioner, and that was a very, very casual mic drop moment, and but we do want to run through it, and if you want to touch on it, maybe in one of your other answers, we'll try and get there. Yes, next question.
Good afternoon to each of you. My question is directed to anybody that feels that they have a solution to the question.
That's why I'm directing who's answering, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Go for it.
Those of us that live in the South Dade area are seeing we're in a nightmare right now. The only good thing about COVID-19 is that it has relieved the traffic. I can now get from my house to the McDonald's in less than 20 minutes. It is, I don't understand how it is happening, but as far as the eyes can see, from the east, from the west, nothing but construction. To the east, nothing but construction. And I don't understand how all of these developments, if they're going to have people with 1, 2, 3 cars in each of those residences or apartment complexes, are going to be able to use US 1 to get from where they are to downtown Miami. When they weren't there, it was taking me, I know I drive 40 miles an hour, but it was taking me an hour to get down there. Now, I'm not even going. Forget it. Just forget it. You cannot get to Florida City. It is unreal. Now, I don't know how it's being done, how they were given permission, but somebody needs to look at what's happening with the transportation, okay? Now, all of you can fix it, and I'll vote for all of you.
We can't vote for everybody, Ms. Ziegler. No, sorry. Old Miami, that might have been a thing. We're going to start with Ms. Barley. We're going to give Commissioner Cava an opportunity, and Ms. Dumont. How do we find traffic solutions? That's the gist of the question.
Well, I don't like to give broken promises. As we have already experienced broken promises here in Miami-Dade County. First thing you need to do is elect someone that have great leadership and truthfulness to the solutions that they're stating they're going to do. So whatever needs to get done to create a better quality of life here in Miami-Dade County, I'm willing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cobb, Levine Cobb.
The only solution to traffic is transit and not continuing to overbuild. So, back to the point that was made previously, it is really critical that we have, that we implement our land use policies. And our Department of Transportation and Public Works is not customer friendly. So, they move like very slowly, and they are not responsive to concerns of neighborhood issues having to do with traffic. So under my watch, we would be community-centric as far as those things, and we would not have continuous building all the time that would interfere. But the most important thing of all is that we need to get out of our cars and use transit. But we have been overbuilding, and we need jobs in South Dade, so fewer people will have to commute downtown. And that's why we have the economic development plan that is being developed with the federal grant that we obtained, so that fewer people, actually, we don't need to just be a housing center, we need to be a job center. And that will help us tremendously as well.
Mr. Mon, and we'll have time for one more question from the audience.
I was told that I don't know how to do politics because I don't know how to lie. I refuse to sit here and give you a solution that I have not been able to sit with real experts to get you that solution. We have many people sitting here right now that's been in office. They have not found the answer yet. And we're looking between 6 years to at least 30 years in the public sector. They have not been able to give you that answer. I don't want to tell you that I have an immediate answer for you right now, but I do know it is a concern. Traffic, I live off of Ives Dairy. With, COVID-19, and certain things has occurred where there's light traffic on Ives Dairy. So I do understand what traffic is doing to our communities. For those people who say, get out of our cars, the first question I want to ask one of the leaders is, are you willing to get out your car, park your car, so that way you take the transportation and go by leadership? That's what we need. We need leadership. We need those who are leading by example, and I'm willing to do that.
Next question, or last question, I should say.
Okay.
Make it a doozy, no pressure.
Okay, my question is on affordable housing. It was mentioned earlier that the corridors needed more density in order to help with the transit. So this kind of ties in with transit and housing. So, okay, but when you speak on affordable housing, and you say that the corridors need more density, but you have a project that was in South Miami that was pretty much dedicated for affordable housing, but it ends up in the hands of a private developer and goes off to the University of Miami for 90 to 99 affordable luxury units for the students, but that's not for the residents. So if you say that you want to do affordable housing and to increase the density within the corridors, you have to have the residents stay in the corridors in order to have that density, because if you outsource to students only are there for like 6 months to 4 years at best, because you have graduate and then you have your traditional 4-year students. And they're not obligated or guaranteed to stay in that area. So, but you turn your back on the residents. How do you propose to, to increase the density without outsourcing the sites that are pretty much guaranteed or that you slate for affordable housing, which is the Mayoral corridors and along US 1?
And we're going to go to Commissioner Bovo, Mayor Pinellas, and Commissioner Suarez.
And that is an excellent question. I'm still reconciling in my mind about McDonald's because she just reminded me I'm hungry. But look, I think when we talk about a collaboration with the private sector, it's clear that we're talking about normally our land. When we control the land, we can dictate certain terms that will allow us to get to that density. I think the project that you're talking about, one of my colleagues here that's in his district, he may be better equipped to speak about it. I think that was private land, it wasn't a public land. When you're dealing with the land that we control, then we can bring certain assets to the table that expedites building, brings utilities to the property. These are things that could help drive the cost down of the actual construction, and then is the area that we could start negotiating with the developer so that we could get the units that we'd like along these corridors. These are things that are happening now and can continue to happen along the corridor, but very important, it's land that we control. We've tried to engage the cities to do the same along all corridors. So if Palmetto Bay, other cities, Cutler Bay control land, they should be also engaging in those same conversations. That's how you'll bring that density and then the diversity of density. And by the way, I know the thing is ringing, but these things are important and it can't be done in a minute. I will tell you that we in the county have also explored in ways of eliminating parking requirements. Now, this is difficult, but if you could get away with the fact that you have that transit, then you could do away with parking requirements, less cars on the road. I apologize.
Thank you. Mayor Pinellas.
I think Commissioner Bowe was correct. He laid out all the different issues. When you contribute a public asset, whether it's money, land, whatever the case may be, you control the rules, right? In the case of a partnership where land is being provided with greater density, there should be a long-term contractual arrangement with that developer, whether it's a private sector developer, a non-for-profit, a community-based organization, or a faith-based organization, to make sure that you have the right number of units at affordable pricing available all the time. And that has to be enforced. It's as simple as that. And if it's not enforced, then there's other legal mechanisms by which those lands either revert back to the public entity, or there's some sort of a penalty. So I don't know the particular circumstances of the case he mentioned, but generally these are circumstances that through the appropriate contractual arrangement, you could assure that the public is getting a return on its investment, which is eventually affordable and workforce housing for our residents.
Thank you. Commissioner Suarez.
Yeah, I think the project in question is South Miami Hometown Station, and it was in fact a lease to a private entity. We did waive the parking requirements, and a lot of people thought that that was the wrong thing to do, but actually that's exactly what transit-oriented development does, and that's why we did that now for the project that is being built where my office is at 37th and US 1. That's the highest percentage of workforce housing ever, 40%, and there'll be 80 units there. And that'll be connected to downtown through Metro Rail. One other thing that's interesting is my assistant during that period of time, Evan Fancher, was then, because he negotiated with the neighbors in South Miami, was then appointed the executive director of the CRA, and in short order, he put together a project finally for the CRA that had never done a project, $4.5 million Madison Square, and it's going to be completed before I become mayor of Miami-Dade County. So that's only 3 months left to complete it.
Well, we want to give a round of applause to the candidates. The ugly beauty of COVID-19 is that many of these forums are being posted online, including this one. So you can go back and hear some of the answers to the questions that you may have had to make sure that there's been consistency, to make sure that there's accountability. I know that, as a matter of fact, they have another forum tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken, that deals with environmental issues or something. It's next week? Okay, well, there's more to come between now and August 18th. But we do want to give each of the candidates an opportunity to close and give their kind of closing statement. But I do want to give Reverend Jackson an opportunity to give accolades or say a few words.
Okay, as I started, I'll end. We thank God for the pastors in the South Dade area for being very supportive of this, and we stand as one. Kay Dawson is here with us tonight, and others that are tuned in and watching. And so we are very thankful that that this forum is down. So I'm really thankful that you didn't make me call the name of all those sororities and fraternities. You did an excellent job in calling out those names, my brother. It's been wonderful working with you. And I look forward to the closing remarks of these individuals, and we do look forward to one of them being our next leader in a few months from now.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, we will finish as we started, and I hope we can ask you to give a little benediction after they're done completing their closing remarks. So we'll start in the same order we started in. So starting with Ms. Barley, the floor is yours for closing.
Certainly. I started my journey working closely with my father, Mr. Roy Hardeman. He's the former state representative for District 108. He's my mentor, and he have done a lot of great things here in Miami-Dade County. What I pledge to do is I pledge to bring diversity and fairness here in our county, economic development, and a self-sufficient program to bring more home ownerships here for a better quality of life is what we need in Miami-Dade County. As a mayor, I pledge to deliver excellence every day. Thank you, and I appreciate the honor of being here tonight.
Commissioner Bovo.
And thank you all for being here with us tonight and this evening, and to all my colleagues, and to you, Senator. Always good to see you. You know, COVID-19 has been disastrous to our community. It's been disastrous health-wise and economic-wise. But at the same time, it's also spoken greatly about the fabric of our community. I have seen all over our county, whether it's in the north end, the south end, east or west, I have seen something that binds all of us. Doesn't matter the color of your skin, doesn't matter the language you speak. You know, all of us want peace, prosperity, opportunities for our children. And this is wide and across our county. And it's something that I want to strive for. I want to make sure that the policies of our county are felt countywide, not just a specific area or a group, but policies that are inclusive and are felt countywide. And as your next mayor, I pledge to work in a transparent way. I pledge to make sure that county government fulfills the mission it was created to do. And I pledge to do it in a way that is inclusive of everybody, should have a seat at the table and a part of the discussion in the way that we move our county forward. Please go to stevebovo.com, look at my website, and I'm number 361 on the ballot.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Commissioner Levine Cava.
Well, thank you again for this wonderful forum. We're here in Richmond Heights, a special historic community, and it is part of South Dade where there is more to explore. That's the marketing term that we came up with because we're so proud, Commissioner Moss and I. I've been proud to represent South Dade for 6 years, and I will promise you this as mayor. I will continue to bring better transit options to South Dade. I will restore county services to South Dade. I will open an office of equity and inclusion in the mayor's office that will make sure that we have the policies to lift all communities with an emphasis on the Black community. And not only that, I will monitor and implement to make sure that they are not just policies sitting on a shelf, but they are real promises and that we will deliver. I have a lifetime of service addressing these issues, these opportunities that are needed, and I have been proudly endorsed by Brownsville Civic Neighborhood Association, the Young Dems, the Democratic Black Caucus, New Florida Majority, and I hope I have earned your endorsement as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeArmas.
Yes, more than a year ago, we decided to start this journey. We have spoken for more than a year with around 5,000 people. Based on the information collected from those people, those almost 5,000 people, in an organic, non-political environment, I was able to draft my government plan. So basically this government plan, this long-term, wide vision government plan was made by people like you. So it's the first time that we are having a plan being implemented as coming from the people to the people. It's the time to empower the people, so the power is coming from the bottom up. So I really want to implement this. I think it's worth it to be implemented because it's coming from the people, and it's a comprehensive very comprehensive and wide vision plan that will really fix the issues that we are having and are due for up 20, 30, or 40 years already.
Thank you so much. Ms. Damon?
Thank you for having me. I wouldn't be before you guys today if I wasn't led. I heard the voice and I just followed. This journey for me has been a tremendous journey. It has opened my eyes even more than ever before. As a mayor candidate, I've had to push and fight to even be before you today. We no longer want people like myself to have to fight to be at this table. The only thing that should stop you from being here today at this table is if you don't want to be here, but not others. My goal, my objective, running as a mayor for the mayoral seat, strong mayor, is that each and every one of the voices in Miami-Dade County will be heard. Economic development is a priority. Making sure you have homes is a priority. And that's my goal for running as mayor of Miami-Dade County.
Thank you. Mayor Pinellas.
Pastor Jackson, Senator Bullard, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this opportunity. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in very, very difficult and uncertain times. I'm proud of my service to the people of Miami-Dade County. We took on big, bold issues. We fought crime and corruption. We grew the airport and the seaport, created hundreds of thousands of jobs. We lowered violent crime by 40%, brought about universal pre-kindergarten for all children who are 4. But I also dealt with many crises throughout my 8 years as mayor. 22 storms. We dealt with the aftermath of the 9/11. And each time we were not only prepared, but we recovered better than the time before. And that's the most important thing I offer you today. Proven leadership during very, very difficult moments. To be able to steer this ship, to make sure that we look out for not only the health concerns of our community, but make sure we have a true economic recovery plan. So thank you very much. I'm number 364, Alex Pinellas for mayor.
And Mayor Suarez. Commissioner Suarez.
Mayor's fine. Mayor's fine. I forgot to mention one of the items in the SMART plan, which is the Northeast Corridor. And I'm working with her daddy, Roy Hardiman, to make sure that that is extended. The community benefits that we mentioned before for the building of the Grand Central, Miami Central, not only extends to 74th Street, but across to through the heart of Liberty City, all the way to Hialeah. And that's going to be built, and all we need now is a little thing called positive train control, and it's going to be at a very low cost. Thanks to, I've done a lot of things in my life. I can't say them all at this, you know, in 15 seconds that are left. Just remember that I get things done, and that I got, for example, 2,700 summer jobs where 0 existed before, 20 with my son, 20 after-school programs, and 4 vocational training programs in the county and inner city schools. And lastly, I just want to say thank you. God bless you all, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Another round of applause again for your candidates for county mayor. In a second, I'm going to turn over to Pastor Jackson to close us out, but I do want to reiterate that before you, and I want to let the mayoral candidates know, before you sits over 1,000 years of committed service to community in these Divine Nine organizations that exist here. They've been doing the work quietly, oftentimes without accolade, oftentimes without government assistance. In many cases, they're doing scholarship work, they're doing community building, they're contributing to making folks' lives better in a very substantial way. I just want to say and encourage you that when outside does open again, and in the virtual space for as long as we need to, these organizations are going to be holding events, are going to be inviting you and I do not want it to fall on deaf ears. I think many of these organizations have reached out to your predecessors in the office of the mayor and have not gotten a response that is deserved of 1,000 years of committed service to community. And so I would encourage whoever becomes mayor of this fine county, and whoever, and for the remaining folks, to not forget that these organizations are bridge building and have been bridge building in this county since its county's inception. And so I just want to make sure that we understand that they're here, they will remain here, and they will be here in service to community and trying to make your jobs a little bit easier. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. Turn it over to Pastor Jackson to close this out.
Senator, it's been wonderful working with you tonight. Appreciate you and the excellence that you do with everything that you're a part of. I ask all these candidates, please don't forget the South when you get elected. Don't forget about the South. We're here, and we're very vibrant, and we'll be watching and supporting. When you came in, perhaps you came in the way and you saw that beautiful edifice that is going up on the highway. That is being named after one of the matriarchs of our community in Senator Larcenia Bullard, the mother of Brother Dwight Bullard. Can we give that a hand? That is one of the initiatives of Commissioner Moss, and certainly he has left a lasting legacy in our communities down south. God bless you, and thank you so much for coming out tonight. Lord, we thank you for this gathering tonight. Pray that you will go with us as we leave this place. Dismiss us from this place, but never ever from your presence. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Thank you.
Candidates, if you don't mind, we're going to just bother you for 2 additional minutes for
We say yes, Lord, yes. Yeah. Our songs are rising in your direction. We say yes, Lord, yes. We will wait on you. We will wait on you. Come and move. We say yes to 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 you. Church, let's lift it up.